Golden Age Hollywood is remembered for glamour, fame, and picture-perfect lives. But behind the bright lights and smiling faces, many legendary stars faced deeply personal struggles. Today, we reveal 10 Golden Age Hollywood stars who had children with disabilities or special needs. Stories that were rarely talked about in their time. Clark Gable, famously known as the King of Hollywood, was admired for his confident on-screen presence and charismatic personality. However, behind the glamour of his public image, Gable lived a very private personal life. His only son, John Clark Gable, was born in 1961, just months after Clark Gable's death. Over the years, it has been reported by biographers and close sources that John Clark Gable experienced learning difficulties and academic challenges during his early life. Unlike many Hollywood stars of his era, Clark Gable was extremely protective of his family's privacy. Even before his death, he expressed strong discomfort with media intrusion into his personal life. This attitude continued through the way his family handled John's upbringing. Rather than exposing his son to Hollywood attention, the family chose a quieter, more private path, focusing on dignity and normalcy. Gable's story reminds us that even Hollywood legends faced deeply human concerns beyond fame and success. Judy Garland, one of the most iconic stars of Hollywood's golden age, lived a life filled with extraordinary talent but also deep personal struggles. Behind her unforgettable performances, Garland faced severe mental health issues, substance dependency, and the pressures of studio control. Amid these challenges, she was also a devoted mother. Her daughter, Lorna Luft, experienced significant health problems during childhood, including respiratory issues and reported neurological difficulties that affected her early development. Raising a child with health challenges while navigating fame was especially difficult in an era when such issues were rarely discussed openly. Despite her own instability and demanding career, Judy Garland remained deeply protective of Lorna. She often put her children's emotional needs above her professional obligations, even when it came at great personal cost. Lorna later spoke about her mother's warmth, sensitivity, and fierce love. Their story reflects the complex reality behind Hollywood glamour, a mother doing her best under extraordinary pressure. Burt Lancaster was one of the most respected and powerful actors of Hollywood's golden age, known for his strength, charisma, and versatility on screen. Off-screen, however, Lancaster faced personal challenges that he chose to keep strictly private. One of his sons, William "Bill" Lancaster, reportedly showed developmental differences during childhood that modern writers have associated with autism spectrum-related challenges, though such conditions were poorly understood at the time. In the 1940s and 1950s, autism was rarely discussed, often misdiagnosed, and surrounded by stigma. Lancaster made a conscious decision to shield his child from public attention and Hollywood gossip. Rather than addressing the issue publicly, he quietly arranged private care, education, and support for his son, prioritizing stability and dignity over fame. Lancaster's handling of the situation reflects the reality of many parents of that era, navigating unfamiliar medical territory without guidance or public understanding. His story highlights a lesser-known, deeply human side of a Hollywood legend. Loretta Young was one of the most admired actresses of Hollywood's golden age, celebrated for her elegance, strong moral image, and successful career. Behind this carefully maintained public persona, however, she lived with a deeply personal secret. Her daughter, Judy Lewis, was born in 1935 and later experienced emotional and developmental challenges, which were compounded by the extraordinary circumstances surrounding her birth. At a time when unwed motherhood and childhood difficulties were considered scandalous, Loretta Young made the difficult decision to hide the truth about Judy's parentage and later present her as an adopted child. This secrecy, though intended to protect both mother and daughter, had lasting emotional consequences. Loretta went to great lengths to shield Judy from public scrutiny, sacrificing openness and personal freedom to preserve stability and dignity. Judy Lewis later spoke openly about her struggles, helping shed light on the intense pressure, stigma, and silence that defined Hollywood's golden age. Their story reflects the human cost of fame and societal expectations. Danny Thomas was a beloved entertainer, comedian, and television pioneer of Hollywood's golden age, best known for The Danny Thomas Show. Beyond his success in entertainment, Thomas was a deeply devoted family man whose personal experiences shaped his legacy in profound ways. His daughter, Marlo Thomas, faced learning challenges during her early years, a situation that required patience, understanding, and extra support at a time when such issues were rarely acknowledged or openly discussed. Witnessing his child's struggles had a lasting emotional impact on Danny Thomas. It deepened his empathy for families dealing with childhood illness and developmental difficulties. This personal connection played a significant role in inspiring his lifelong commitment to helping sick and vulnerable children. In 1962, that commitment became reality with the founding of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, a place dedicated to ensuring that no child is denied medical care due to financial hardship. Danny Thomas's story shows how a parent's love can transform private challenges into a mission that changes millions of lives. Humphrey Bogart, one of Hollywood's most enduring golden age icons, was widely known for his tough, cynical on-screen characters. In real life, however, Bogart revealed a much gentler and deeply devoted side as a father. He and his wife, actress Lauren Bacall, welcomed their daughter Leslie Bogart in 1952. During her early childhood, Leslie reportedly experienced developmental delays, which led the couple to become extremely protective of her upbringing. At a time when childhood developmental issues were poorly understood and rarely discussed publicly, Bogart and Bacall chose privacy over publicity. They made a conscious effort to keep their daughter away from Hollywood spotlight, focusing instead on providing a stable, nurturing home environment. Bogart, already battling declining health later in life, prioritized family above his career whenever possible. Their approach reflected a quiet form of parental strength, facing challenges without public attention. Bogart's story reminds us that behind the hardened screen persona was a caring father devoted to his child's well-being. Joan Crawford, one of Hollywood's most glamorous and celebrated stars, was known for her fierce determination and dedication to her career. Behind the public image of elegance and success, however, her personal life was far more complex. Her adopted daughter, Christina Crawford, faced significant emotional and behavioral challenges during childhood, which were compounded by the strict and often harsh environment in which she was raised. The relationship between Joan and Christina later became the subject of intense public scrutiny, especially after Christina published her memoir, Mommy Dearest, which detailed allegations of emotional abuse and neglect. While the accuracy of every claim remains debated, the story highlighted the reality that mental health and developmental challenges were poorly understood at the time. Joan Crawford's approach reflected a combination of societal pressures, personal ambition, and generational attitudes toward parenting. Their story serves as a reminder that even Hollywood legends struggle privately with family issues, and it underscores the importance of awareness and compassion for children facing emotional difficulties. Alan Ladd, one of Hollywood's most prominent stars of the 1940s and 1950s, was widely admired for his cool, stoic screen presence and leading man charisma. Off-screen, however, Ladd faced complex personal challenges, especially as a father. His son, David Ladd, reportedly experienced neurological and emotional difficulties during his childhood, requiring careful attention, understanding, and support. At the same time, Alan Ladd struggled with his own mental health issues, including depression, which made navigating family responsibilities even more difficult. Despite these challenges, he remained deeply committed to supporting his son and family privately, often shielding them from media attention and public scrutiny. Ladd's approach reflected the limited understanding of childhood developmental and emotional issues in Hollywood during that era. By prioritizing his son's well-being over publicity or career demands, Alan Ladd demonstrated a quiet, enduring form of parental dedication. His story highlights the human side of a Hollywood legend often remembered only for his screen persona. Gary Cooper, one of Hollywood's most iconic actors, was celebrated for his understated charm, stoic performances, and timeless screen presence. Despite his public persona as the epitome of rugged masculinity and integrity, Cooper faced deeply personal challenges in his private life. His daughter, Maria Cooper, experienced early developmental difficulties, which required special attention, care, and protection in an era when such matters were rarely understood or discussed publicly. Cooper was determined to shield his family from the intrusive Hollywood spotlight. He carefully maintained privacy around Maria's upbringing, limiting media exposure and ensuring that her childhood was as stable and normal as possible despite his fame. Friends and biographers note that Cooper prioritized his children's well-being over career ambitions whenever possible, reflecting a quiet but profound commitment to fatherhood. This story highlights the human side of Gary Cooper, showing that behind the celebrated legend was a devoted parent navigating the challenges of raising a child with special needs in a highly publicized world. Rita Hayworth, one of Hollywood's most glamorous and enduring stars of the Golden Age, was celebrated worldwide for her beauty, talent, and magnetic screen presence. Behind the dazzling image, however, Hayworth faced significant personal challenges, both as a mother and in her own health. Her daughter, Princess Yasmin Aga Khan, was born with learning disabilities, requiring additional care, patience, and understanding throughout her early life. Hayworth, despite struggling with her own undiagnosed Alzheimer's disease later in life, remained devoted to Yasmin. She worked tirelessly to provide her daughter with emotional support and stability, shielding her from the pressures and scrutiny of Hollywood whenever possible. Friends and family noted Hayworth's efforts to maintain a nurturing environment, balancing her demanding career with her responsibilities as a mother. Their story is a testament to the private resilience and dedication of parents, highlighting that even Hollywood legends faced deeply human struggles behind the glamour of the screen.